What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a good day, maybe afternoon, evening, depending on what time you're watching this. Could be morning, could be 8 a.m., first thing. We're just hopping in. But I wanted to get on here real quick and talk a little bit about music school and some things that I wish I had thought about before going into music school, and some things that if you are at the college age and you're about to head into that, or you're about to start applying for schools, or maybe you're 2 years into a program and you're like, I hate this, I don't know why. All these things that people don't really talk about and that I think we should talk about more. So here's a few little points that I think might be helpful for people who are in that stage of life. So first, you have decided to go to music school and you are going to figure out where you're going to apply to, where you're hoping to get in, all that fun stuff. This is for jazz and classical. I think all of this applies. Where you're looking at going, what is as important as anything else is who the teacher is there. You can hear so many wonderful things about a program, but you need to know that the teacher is going to be a good fit for you, and B, someone that you want to sound like, and someone that you want to be spending a lot of time hearing them play, hearing them talk, having them tell you what you should do differently, maybe other things you should think about. There's a lot of teachers out there that their method of teaching is to kind of form people to sound like they sound, which has its merit, but there's some other teachers that maybe are better at helping an individual student find their voice on the instrument. And that might be something that you're more interested in. So a program as a whole doesn't necessarily speak for what your specific instrument is in that program and what you will be getting out of it. The second thing I would think about is to look at the local scene around the college. So if you're going to a school, like I went to the University of North Texas in Denton, Texas. Denton, it's a funny little town, but it has a great music scene. It has a huge indie scene, and there's jazz stuff that happens there, and it's close enough to Dallas to where you can really get into that world if you want to. So if you're looking at going to a music school, see what you can find online about what that local music scene is, what types of genres are really there, what kind of music are people playing outside of school, what kind of music are you into playing outside of school. There's a lot of people that go to jazz school that have no desire to play jazz outside of school. They're just doing it because it's the option that isn't classical, so that's what they're going to do. And that's okay. That's maybe a separate conversation, but if you really want to play indie rock, make sure there's an indie rock scene near where you're going. So you can get plugged into a community and play that kind of music and get reps at playing, which is half the battle. So another thing you can do is call some alumni. There's plenty of people who have called me asking about North Texas. And I always try to give the full picture of what Denton was like, more than just talking about the hours that I spent in the school every day, because I think there's so much more to it that's really important. The next point, I think, is a hard one for everybody, and something that everyone is figuring out as they go. But think about what you want to do once you're done with school. So many people go to music school, and they do really well, and they finish school, and they go, what now? I did the thing. I did school. Give me a job. And that's just not how music works. And that really takes a lot of people by surprise and can really mess with your brain if you're not ready for it. So think about, okay, am I going to performance school to get a performance degree to teach? Totally fine. Just make sure that if you want to teach at anything above a high school level, you're planning to go to grad school. You're just in it for more school. And that's okay. If that's what you want to do and that's something you like doing. Maybe you love to teach and you want to go get a master's degree and a doctorate and teach for the rest of your life. That's great. You can still perform and play, but your primary thing will be teaching. If you want to just play, then you need to be thinking about that before you get out of school and you need to start getting into the scene and figuring out what you're adding to the scene as a player. Because if you come out sounding like everybody else, then no one's going to really hire you for the way you sound because you don't sound particularly different than anyone around. So it's okay if you don't have that figured out. But it is something that I wish I had thought about by the time I was 18, 19 in school, really thinking about, okay, what does life after school look like, and how am I going to pay my bills, and how am I going to be creatively satisfied, and what projects am I going to get into, and what avenues do I need to start pursuing earlier in order to set myself up for success a little bit down the road. The fourth thing I would say is prepare for a very abnormal college experience. Unless you go to a conservatory or a conservatory type program, there's going to be people around you who are English majors, math majors, business, psychology, all of the things. And most of them have a much more normal schedule in life than you will. For a math major, they'll go to class, they'll do their homework, and then they're done for the day, and they can go hang out, party, do whatever you want to do. For music majors, you do your homework and you do your stuff, and then you really should probably go practice for a few hours. And then maybe you have time, and there will be time to hang out and do fun stuff, but it's not the same because that period of time in school is when you will have the most time to practice in your whole life. And it is when you should put in the most hours into practicing. And if you don't, and you really want to have that normal college experience, then I would really question whether music is the right call for you. Because that's kind of the first sign of dedication to something that is abnormal and takes a ton of work, and you need to start putting in the time then in order to be successful later. The last point I have is just to play music as much as you can while you're really in it and you're learning a bunch and you're trying stuff, and there's some days where you feel like you're terrible. There's some days where you're like, wow, I'm really sounding good today. Just go play music. Go play with your friends. Go make new friends. Find different pockets of people that are into different types of music, and you can play that. And maybe you want to try playing some R&B today, and maybe you want to try different things and really experiment with what is around where you are and what people are into, and find different people that are into different types of music to really help diversify your musical palette. Some of the best musicians I know now in the working world are so incredible at genre hopping, for lack of a better term. They can be on a country gig and sound super authentic and sound really like they've studied that music, and then they can go swing and sound great just playing like Art Blakey or something like that. And it's really wonderful to hear people who clearly put in that time to diversify their musical skill set and know how to play with people. There's a lot of individuals that go to school and spend all day, every day in a practice room, and they can play incredible stuff by themselves, but then as soon as you put them in a real musical context, they kind of fold, and they don't know how to play with people. So there's a balance. You want to be pushing yourself and exploring new ideas, but you also want to be learning how to interact with other people and learn weird things that happened on stage and weird things that happened on the bandstand that, I don't know how to deal with that because it's never happened before. And that's okay, and you'll learn, and that's a great time in your life to learn how to do that. Well, I hope y'all got something out of my little rant about some things that I wish I had thought about before going to music school. I think it's worth thinking about, and I hope that those of you who are at the age to where you're about to go into it really put in the time and effort that goes into making the right decision. I think that even if you end up going to a school and it's not the right fit, it's totally viable to leave and find a school that's a better fit, or to find a different path that's a better fit. It's way better to get out before you're 4 years into a program with a degree that you don't want. And it's also way better to get a semester in and realize that this school is not the right fit for me, or this town is not the right fit for me, and I need to go somewhere else. If you like this video, like and subscribe. It's always helpful. Let me know in the comments what you want to hear me talk about next. See ya.